Hello, everyone. Hi. Welcome,
Hello.
welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining today. I am here with Melissa Gutierrez, and we're going to just jump into it. I'm your host, Justine Mangum Kirkman of Winnie Weston. And before we jump into Melissa's all her just great stuff, I wanted to remind you guys join Adobelive community, subscribe at our YouTube channel, and follow us at Adobelive on Instagram for the latest streams, updates, and more. So, Melissa, please tell us more about yourself and show us some of your artwork.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Justine. Hi, everyone. I am Melissa Gutierrez. I am based in Miami, Florida. So today I am actually a senior experience designer at Adobe, but a part-time illustrator of all things Miami, which is what I'll be showing you all today. So
Great.
on the side, of outside of my job, I run an Instagram account. It's called West of Chester, and it is an ode to growing up to Miami. I illustrate a lot of Miami landmarks, both of the past and current day. Yeah, it's just a project that's really near and dear to my heart. As a Miami kid growing up, the city is so new; it's always changing and evolving. So I feel like this has been a great exercise and having an ode to my past.
Awesome, awesome. So let's just jump into it because
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the process.
Awesome, for sure. So I was going to, first set down the foundation. These are examples of the Miami landmarks that I make. So let me get my iPad.
And
Awesome.
while Melissa is setting up, everybody in the chat, definitely, if you have questions for Melissa, put them in the chat. If you just want to say something, hi, or whatever that is, definitely put that in the chat, and we could just have fun today.
Awesome. So yeah, these are examples of landmarks that I have, and these are I'll actually be turning a sketch into a colored illustration. So this is an example of what my past work looks like, and I will be working inside of Fresco today, so you can see
Cool.
that. So a little bit of context. This is Wall's Ice Cream. So it is, a Miami landmark. It is one of an ice cream parlor that has existed for over 2 decades. It has amazing, delicious ice cream. Miami is a very warm city, so this ice cream comes in handy.
Right, it's needed.
Exactly, much needed. Next to
Hmm.
hydration is the dairy, right?
Right, right.
So yeah, this is I first started with this sketch of Wall's ice cream. And what I'll be doing today is just taking you through the process of coloring it in, adding some textures. I'll be using some different brushes. And yeah,
Awesome. I can't wait to see the finished product.
same here. Actually, so something that I do, my first step is to, outline the drawing here as you see.
Hmm.
But something else that I really like to do is to duplicate that layer. Let me hide this guy over here. And then think about the color scheme that I want to use.
Oh,
Yeah. I find that it's, sometimes you're in the zone. For me, I really like to zoom in, and it's helpful to just remind myself where I want the colors to be. Sometimes you get so deep into the process, you might forget.
true. Right. You're like, wait, where was that supposed to be? Yeah, I agree with that.
Exactly. I also like to have like a little reference photo.
Hmm.
So as you'll see here, it's a little small, but that's the beauty of Fresco. I can zoom in here and just like remind myself of, some colors that I might have forgotten.
Love it.
Sure. Uh,
Wow. I love the fact that you like put the colors where you want them to be as like markers. I'm sure that helps your process.
yeah, and something that Fresco does that is really appreciated is whenever you upload a photo, they actually sample the colors, which is
Mhm.
amazing.
I love that too. I use Fresco and I'm always like, thank you, Lord.
Yeah,
Thank you for
exactly.
pulling those colors.
I appreciate it so much.
We appreciate it, Adobe. Thank you.
Cool. So, I'll get started. It feels like to me, I'm gonna fill in the colors. I'll start with this kind of Walls ice cream text.
Mm-hmm.
It's drawing to me the most, so I'll go ahead and turn off this layer. I like to keep let me turn off the screenshot here. I like to duplicate the layer when I'm coloring it in, just so I have like a backup. Justine, I'm sure you know as an illustrator yourself, sometimes you delete that one layer and you're like, oh no.
I sure do. And I'm like the queen of duplicating the layers just in case I'm like, I deleted that. Oh, or better
Exactly.
yet, if you change it.
I know. And then you're just like, what's happening? So yeah, the more
Right.
duplication, the better.
Right. Exactly. So you start with the lettering first and then you move to the background.
I do.
Hmm.
I feel like filling in the lettering, it requires a little bit more time because it's a little bit smaller of a space. I
Yep.
feel like with the background that we see here, um, so I typically have all of my brushes here favorited. There's a lot of Kyle Webster brushes, as you might see.
I love it.
So I typically like to use for smaller areas the
Hmm.
Kyle Ultimate Pencil, the 2B.
Yep.
And I think 18 is a good size. And because I can refer back to my color layer.
Which is so smart.
Yeah, it just makes things so much easier. And, love a shortcut.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna start doing that. I think sometimes I put mine on the side of my art.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
but I think, like almost like a color palette in that way. But
Yeah.
I like actually putting it on the actual design so I don't forget like where that color goes.
Yeah. That's awesome. So here, all right, I'm in my duplicated layer. And let's see,
Hmm.
sometimes 18 might be too small or too big of a size, but it looks like it works right now. Maybe I'll bring it down to like a 13 just
Hmm.
to get like those angles. So what I like to do is just trace this over. So something I really like about this brush is like the texture that it has. Um,
I was gonna say it definitely reminds me of almost like a crayon in a way.
yes, I love that.
I love that too.
I know
I love
everything.
when brushes have texture.
I know, and I feel like because I am from Miami and a lot of the time I'm drawing landmarks that maybe are no longer there. I feel like the grain of these brushes kind of reminds me of a photograph, which is really nice.
I agree with that. Yes, I love that. I really do. There's something like when you do digital art, sometimes you can lose out on that texture.
Right.
And so I love that Adobe um, either has brushes like that or you can easily, incorporate brushes from the external and, bring them in so that you can have that texture.
Yeah. And then something you brought up something great, Justine, that reminded me. I don't know if you can tell, but these lines that you see here, they aren't completely straight, right? They have a little bit of that curvature,
Right.
which I really like. There's something precision's always great. I love that. But I think in my art, I really like to have that kind of hand-drawn feel. And then it also allows me to just not be so worried about making mistakes and kind of let go of that perfectionism in a way.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. My art is very similar to that. And sometimes, like in the digital world, you feel like, oh my gosh, I guess I should make it straight because I have the ability to have the line be
Right.
straight. But sometimes, you just want it to be crooked.
Exactly.
You just want the
There's beauty in that.
imperfection. Right. There's beauty in imperfection for sure.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Oh, somebody said, speaking of ice cream, I bought a bunch of different ice cream when it's still 5C outside.
I love that. I wonder what
Oh my
flavor.
gosh. I know. Tell us what flavor. Please tell us what flavor. That's when you know you really love ice cream when you're eating it and it's like freezing outside.
Yeah, well, we were just talking about winter earlier, and I
We
feel
were.
like, the sun can be deceiving. It can be a sunny day and 20 degrees out. You can
Right, right. You go outside and you're like, it is not warm.
exactly. This is not what I anticipated.
Right. Well, since we're on the theme of ice cream, I would love for the chat to just chime in and tell us what is your favorite go-to flavor of ice cream? I know mine. I love a cookie dough.
Nice.
I love a chocolate chip. What's yours, Melissa?
That is such a good question. I feel like uh in Miami we have a lot of guava, right? Like that's we put it in
Mm,
everything, guava and
right.
cheese. So I would say there's this ice cream. It's like a guava chunk ice cream that I just love. It's perfect.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's my favorite. And then I think, another controversial one is mint chocolate chip. Not everyone likes it, but
Not everyone likes it. Some people say, oh my gosh, it reminds me of like eating chocolate and toothpaste. And I'm
yeah.
like, what? What? Oh my gosh. So some of the chat, they're saying pecan, caramel, vanilla,
Nice.
Snickers ice cream, cookie dough is a winner, maple nut. Oh, this sounds so good. We might need to
Oh,
get ice cream after this.
I know.
Wow. So you're just filling it in.
Yeah, just filling it in. And sometimes, so I went from I think a 14 to a 12 when you see these
Mhm.
like thinner spots here, just to, not to get a little bit closer in there, add a little bit more detail.
Right.
So I'm just going to, they said, it's okay for it not to be completely straight. I kind of like a little bit of those jagged lines that you see. I feel like it adds a little bit more texture. So we'll keep
Yeah.
that.
And definitely character too.
Yeah.
I love that. Barbara says cookie dough is fab. Also coffee flavor. Coffee flavor?
Oh, so what about an affogato? So it's like vanilla and then an espresso on top. That's
Yes, that is it.
good.
I might need to get some ice cream after
I
this.
know. I'm feeling very inspired.
Right. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh wow. Chocolate ice cream. I shouldn't eat chocolate and toothpaste. True. So what made you get into drawing landmarks? I feel like that's so specific.
Yeah, it's such a good question. So it actually happened I want to say the winter of 2020. I was
Mm.
not in Miami and I was feeling really homesick.
Hmm.
So as my way to kind of bring comfort to myself, I started to draw just buildings that I would frequent growing up in. And then it just kind of like one turned into five, turned into 10.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I feel like once I started to post a bit more, like sometimes growing up, the memories that you have, they might feel like they're just personal to yourself or maybe a little too niche and not everyone
Right.
might understand. But I
Hmm.
found that the more that I was posting, a lot of folks shared those memories as well. So it's been a really great way of building community.
I love that. And I think that speaks to sometimes as artists, we can get in our own head and not
Yes.
want to share with the world our creations. And so I love that you did. And from there, like you've been able to connect with people because it's sometimes we don't realize it, but people are very similar to us, around the world. And they
100%.
like what we like, which is really funny.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm. Wow, I feel like 2020 made everybody just have that moment of like some nostalgic moment
Yeah.
where they just went back almost to their not childhood, but like what you were saying, just having that moment of wanting to go back to, what you grew up on and what comforted you and what reminds you of home.
Definitely, yeah. It could be the winter. I was in New York at the time. It was very, very gray, but it's definitely true what you're
Mhm.
saying. When you have these moments of reflection, like it's hard not to get nostalgic.
Right, exactly. Oh man, the chat is like popping. They
Oh yeah.
say mint chocolate chip is fine. It's not the ice cream that's flavored with chocolate chalk. Oh my God. Oh, Jesse Smith said it's actually free cone day at Ben and Jerry's today. Okay,
Oh,
we have our direction for after this live.
yes, I'm so down.
We're gonna get ice cream.
Also, hi,
Mm.
Jesse. Jesse's also a coworker at Adobe.
Oh, nice. Hi, Jesse. Wade says imperfections make perfection. Yes, Wade.
I love that.
I know. Love that, and I love Wade.
Cool. Add a little dot here.
Yeah, it's coming along.
It's coming along. If I, yeah, just to add a little bit of that texture here, and then
Hmm. That looks good.
you. I'm doing the thing of like, oh no, did I duplicate my layer?
I
But
know.
it seems like we're okay here. Just going to delete a little bit of that black that we see in the background. No, no worries there.
Perfect. Now, are you the type of artist where you like to have a lot of layers, or are you the type where you're like, I need to minimize this. I can't do the clutter of like 50
Yeah.
million layers.
No, it's such a good question. I feel like I've become a little bit of a layer reducer because
Yes.
I think if I'm always trying to find the balance, right? Like you don't want 20 layers, but you also want to have everything easily reachable. So
Right.
I feel like
Hmm.
maybe now less is more. What about you?
You know, I I do like a lot of layers, but if I can reduce them, I will reduce them just so I don't get too like, okay, where's that? Okay, where's that coming from?
Right. Who is this?
Like, right, I'm like, who is this? How did this get in the art? And
For
so
sure.
I do like a little bit of a reduction, but I am also the person who has a lot of tabs open. Not right now, but usually I have a lot of tabs open on my computer. So
Same.
maybe I do like the chaos. I don't know.
What always creeps up on me is the tabs on the phone. Like I don't realize that I have 200 open and then I
True. And then my phone keeps on dying. That's
and then
why.
yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh. That's why. After this, I'm gonna go through the tabs on my phone.
Yeah, just clear it out.
Just clear it. That doesn't need to be kept.
So something that I've been doing here, you'll see
Hmm.
a little bit of that black background there. That's because
Yep,
when you zoom out, it adds a little bit of dimension,
it does.
like just a little bit of hidden. So I like to keep, the black a little bit. Obviously, I'm prioritizing that sort of red right now, but whenever I
Mhm.
can have a little bit of dimension in there, I usually go with that.
Gotcha. That makes total sense. So that's why when you are, as you outline the red, you're not totally trying to cover the black.
Exactly. Yeah. It just
Gotcha.
adds like as a nice hidden-ish layer.
Right, exactly, exactly. I love that. And for anyone who is newly joining us on this live today, we are with Melissa Gutierrez, and she is working on a landmark that is based in Miami, which is actually where she is based. And so, yeah, we're just watching her. She's in Adobe Fresco.
Yeah, I feel like there's something really nice about fresco where it lends itself to like the way that the brushes work. It just reminds me of actually drawing on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
It just feels so easy to grab. I think that when I was first starting off, I wanted to transfer over to something digital from pen and
Mhm.
paper, and then fresco really helped me to, digitize my process. So forever
I
grateful.
agree. Yes, no, I agree with that. I love working in Fresco. I think what Adobe has been able to do with Fresco is really like phenomenal. I always feel like Adobe is like the the top of that stuff. So,
Definitely.
mhm. I love that texture. I just feel like I'm watching someone like work almost in a sketchbook, that
I
type
love
of
that.
crayon texture. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every kid grew up with crayons, and like
Right.
I'm
Color
not ready to give them up.
pencils. Right. At all. Oh my gosh, especially when you had like that crayon box that had the 100 color one.
Oh my gosh, those were amazing.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Gareth said, almost all my digital work starts life in fresco these days. Yep, they really do.
Yeah, there's just so much flexibility, if you want to make a print, you want to make I've been thinking about how can I maybe print some of these on apparel, and I feel like doing this on Fresco helps make that easier.
They really do. I love fresco. And I love the fact that, you can definitely purchase paint brushes or brushes from outside of fresco. But I do
Totally.
love that Adobe Fresco gives you the ability to have a lot of different brushes within their program. And so if you want to, you can really create something nice just all within.
Totally. I gravitate towards that kind of crayony look, but
Mm-hmm.
there is something I can share really quickly here. There's another, I believe, Kyle Webster brush that I have saved here. And it looks like it's a summer wash, but I've also played around with this one. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
not drawing a hidden layer. Let's unhide that. So if I make this smaller, this is kind of nice, that kind of like watercolory effect.
Definitely. Uh-huh.
So I feel like some days I'm still in my crayon phase, but I definitely want to try a variation where I kind of just do all watercolor brushes in an illustration.
Right. Oh, that would be so nice.
Yeah.
Oh
Put
my
that
gosh. I was gonna
here.
ask you, what are your favorite go-to brushes within Adobe, whether they are ones from outside of Adobe and that you brought into Adobe or within Adobe?
Yes, that's such a good question. So I will show you. Love the pencil brush. I feel like when it's smaller, I can get precise in there with that kind of crayony feel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also really love, and we'll see this as I make color in the sky area over here,
Mm-hmm.
but I love the pellets brushes. If I find it,
Mm-hmm.
the pellets brushes is great because I love clouds. I love to draw clouds. It's
I
my
love
favorite.
that.
It's my favorite
Yes.
aspect. So, whenever it's usually the end of my illustrations that I include the clouds. So we'll see that, but let me just give you a quick look here. And I usually use it very low settings. So as you see here,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's very, very small. But once you have that background that is blue, and we'll pretend that this is white for that moment, the kind of
Right, that
clouds just,
contrast.
yeah, they feel
Mm-hmm.
very realistic. So
Right.
excited to show you all that.
So cool. Someone said so many crayon colors, but they all taste the same. Ah,
I love that.
I love that too. Oh my gosh. Someone said a hug from Brazil. Hello
Oh, hi,
from
Brazil.
Brazil.
I've always wanted to go to Brazil. Have you been, Justine?
I have not. I've always wanted to go to Brazil.
It looks so beautiful. The food looks amazing.
Oh my gosh. Just the energy too. I feel like the energy in Brazil is like just undeniable.
Yeah.
Mm, very undeniable. So you grew up in Miami. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And you
Oh
and
my
you in
gosh.
Alexandria?
And
You went
me in
to?
Alexandria, Virginia. So what do you love about Miami?
Oh, I love this question. I just feel like Miami is such a special city. I love the coffee culture here. Like here we call coffee cafecito.
Oh,
And we
Cafecito.
oftentimes, yeah, a lot we have ventanita culture, which is you go up to let's say a restaurant window and you get a little cup of coffee. And everyone's just like chatting about, and I just love it. I think what I love about Miami is that kind of community feel, the
Mhm.
blend of cultures, the food. Yeah, it's a great city. The hurricanes, they come.
Right. They're not the most fun, but
They're not the most fun, but
they're
once you have your shutters up,
yeah, once you learn how it kind of goes, you're like, okay, I
exactly.
know what to anticipate and how to prepare for it.
What about you, Justine? What's your favorite part of Alexandria?
Oh my gosh. I love honestly the history. I think in Alexandria they still have like the cobblestone
Oh, so nice.
on the roads and things like that. And they still have the not the interior, but they kind of kept the houses to still look the same, those row type of houses. And
Yeah.
so and then I just like the people. There's always something to do. Because we're 15 minutes from DC, we're able to, go into DC and go to the museums if we wanted
That's great.
to. And so it's really nice to kind of be so close to everything, but yet far out enough where we're able to see the trees and
Oh,
get
I love
safe.
that.
Right.
Oh, is it almost cherry blossom time?
It actually is cherry blossom time
Oh,
right now.
that's
Yes,
amazing.
I know. So I'm hoping it will really truly warm up because I hate when the cherry blossoms come in and then all of a sudden it's cold and so they
Yeah,
end up, falling off.
totally understand.
Right. Oh my gosh. That's a great question for the chat. If you are in the chat, please tell us where you are from or where you are located. We'd love to kind of see where you guys are at.
Yeah, I would love to know.
Hmm.
Now, Justine, do you have a preference since you're also an illustrator?
Yeah,
Like, do you have a tendency to draw in the morning and night? Like, what's sort of your schedule there?
that's a great question. I would say I would say the evening time I really get inspired. I think the daytime or the morning time I try to do more of the admin work of it all.
Yeah.
Um but sometimes I do create in the morning time. And I guess it just depends on how I'm feeling, but there's something about that nighttime that all of a sudden I'm
Yes.
like, "Oh man."
Well, it's sort of like meditative, right? So at
It
nighttime,
is. It kind of relaxes you. Now, which one are you? Are you more day or nighttime?
yeah. So I lean towards being more of a nighttime drawer, but I don't know if you
Mhm.
have the same thing. I always am like, let's say I don't make enough progress at night. I'm like, I'm gonna wake up at 5 a.m. and
Right.
I'm going to dedicate 2 hours to this, and then I'll start work.
Right.
But it
Right.
never
Oh,
happens. I sleep in.
right. Exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh. I know. That's me all the way. I am so like, I'm going to do this. And then all of a sudden it's like, mm-mm,
Yeah, no,
not happening. Oh
I
my
know.
gosh. So, Barbara's from Nashville by way of Philadelphia. Hi,
Oh,
Barbara.
cool. Hi,
Boston and especially Chicago. Clever is from, let me know if I mispronounced the names. I'm so sorry, you guys. Is near San Antonio, Texas, and tacos are life. I
love
agree.
tacos.
I agree with that. Morning, noon, and night. I agree with that. I love a taco. Gareth is originally from Wales, now Scotland.
Oh, cool.
Very cool. Burned, burned, um, burned is from Germany. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I'm very sorry, but that is very cool. You're from Germany. You guys are from some cool places. Oh my gosh.
I know, it makes me want to travel. I'm
I
like, I can go to Wales
know.
right now. That sounds great.
I could go. I'm telling you, I need to start with Miami first.
Yes. We'll
I
get
love
guava ice cream.
Miami. Right. Please. I would love that. Yes. And then we'll go to Philly and then Boston and
Yes.
then San Antonio for sure, Wales and then Germany. We're good.
I'm actually blanking on, but I know that Philly has this amazing ice cream place and it's been around for decades. Have you been there?
I've been to Philly, but I don't think I've been to like the ice cream shops. I've definitely been to a couple of their Philly cheesesteak shops.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so please let me know what that is. I love ice cream, so
Yeah, I feel like
I'm
at the top of
down.
my head, I could be wrong. I think maybe it's called Leopold's.
Okay. Okay.
It was
Maybe
great. I
Barbara can
remember.
help us out with that.
Yes. So
So
now
now
I'm
you're
just
filling in.
exactly, yeah. I do this thing that once I'm done with the text, it's sort of gratifying right after the little like sketching just to zoom out.
Right.
And that kind of zoom out gives me perspective. I'm like, do I want to add a little bit more black in the background? Do I feel this looks okay? But
Mm.
yeah, I'm leaning into this.
That I love that. It looks great.
Thanks. I also, I should mention, I'll turn this layer off, but Miami has a lot of palm trees. So this was my reminder to myself to
Right.
make sure to include it. So I'll turn this off.
Yes. I love it. I love Miami. Miami is such a nice time. It's a
Yeah,
good
have you been
vibe.
recently?
Actually not recently. I think the last time I was in Miami, it might have been before COVID. So I think it was like 2019.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, so I think I need to book another trip.
Yeah, you gotta come. We gotta get ice cream. We'll take you to one of
Yay!
those windows, the ventanitas, and we'll get coffee.
Oh, perfect. I love that. I love that.
Cool. So, now that I think that the ice cream is in a good spot, I might move on to this text over here. I feel like I like to tackle one thing at a time. So now that I've got
Mhm.
that kind of headline text, I'll go in here into that
And
ice
do
cream.
the okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Now I see this text, you kind of there's more dimension that you created within the sketching of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So here there's a little bit of that line beneath it. And really that's because with the size of this headline text, I feel like it doesn't need that kind of grounding just because it's a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But with the ice cream text, just to ground it a bit so it doesn't look like floating, though there's nothing wrong with floating ice cream.
Right.
This just helps kind of ground that in. And I'll
Yep.
likely, make that feel more like a shadow.
Right. Exactly.
And go in here. And just as a reminder to myself, let's see, it looks like that. Yeah, that text is red.
Yeah.
It's good to remind yourself.
I'm telling you that.
Just go in here.
I can't wait to see how this looks in the end, especially since you showed us the original picture of the landmark
Oh,
in
yeah.
your reference photo.
Yeah, I'm excited. And it's fun too because now that I'm back in Miami, I'm able, like, something that I like to do is go on Sunday strolls and just drive around the neighborhood. So it'll be
Mm-hmm.
cool to drive by and when I have my ice cream, also be like, oh, I have the drawing of it now. I'm like covering
Right.
the bases of the city.
Right. Oh my gosh. That is so nice. I'm sure the owners of the ice cream shop would do appreciate just your love for their
I hope
landmark.
so. I hope so. Yeah. I feel like my goal is to give every business owner in Miami a little mini print of my illustration just
Oh,
to as like a thank you, Small businesses are so important.
yes, they really, really, really are. I'm telling you, they are important for sure to our community.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So here, at the top of my head, I'm kind of thinking about what do I want that shadow to be? Do I want it to be kind of a lower saturation red? Do I want to stick with like maybe a
Mm.
gray?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Here, I'll try and see what that gray looks like. I'll do something a little lighter here. And just to be a little bit more precise, I'll do 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll zoom in. It gets kind of pixelated at this point, but that's good. You're able to see get the
Right.
nooks and
What?
crannies in there.
Right. Exactly. And you're still wanting to keep a little bit of the black
Exactly.
still
Yeah.
within that. Mm-hmm.
So, the gray's okay, but I'm feeling like maybe if I do a variation of this, just lower the opacity. Maybe I'll do like a 38. Use a paint bucket tool here.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe a little bit
Mm-hmm.
less. Yeah, kind of fun. But you know what?
That is kind of fun.
I'm
That
going
in
towards the
itself looks
gray.
like an ice cream sandwich. Are you gonna go with the gray?
Yeah, I think so. It does look like an ice cream sandwich. That's such
It
a good
really
call
did.
out.
Yeah.
You go here. I'll go back to the gray. That's kind of what illustration's all about, right? Just experimentation, do what feels
I'm
right.
telling you, I always say that it's all about experimentation, like, not to take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Uma said, have to go. Thank you, Melissa and Justine, for this session. Awesome. Thank you, Uma.
Thanks, Uma.
Yeah, I agree. I always tell people with art, I think experimenting is always the best way to go,
Yeah.
because you just never know what comes out of that experimentation, and just letting, your creativity flow.
That's so true. And then, by experimentation, you kind of find your style that you wouldn't have otherwise found.
That is so true. That is very true. Yeah, that's definitely um, some strong advice that I tell people who are interested in doing art or wanting to, you know, um, become an artist. I would say
Yeah.
that. Do you have any advice for anyone who's interested in art and or currently doing art right now, but just still might need some advice?
Yeah, I think something that was really powerful for me was sharing my work. And there's so much anxiety about like when it feels right to share your work, when like, putting it out there. And its work is so personal, right? So
Yeah,
it feels so near and dear to your heart. But I feel like it's been really satisfying when I've put my work out there and people can relate to it, even if it's just one person like that. I feel like is really satisfying. So I would say share your work, even if you don't think it's ready, even if you think there's improvements. There is always going to be an improvement to be made, right?
exactly, exactly. I agree with that 100%. I know it's really hard to share your work, and because it's such a, when creating, it's such an intimate thing in a way. But I agree. I think sharing it um can definitely help you in the process for sure.
Definitely.
Hmm. I always tell people, like, when I create or whatever I create, it's almost like my baby in a way.
Yes.
And
And
so,
it also I think what's also cool about sharing your work is that you have an archive of what you were doing at the time. Like it almost serves as this like photo album in a way.
right, exactly. It's such a nice portfolio. I always tell people, with social media kind of being all over the place, algorithms
Oh
and
yeah.
all these changes. When people ask me, well, how do you deal with that? And I always tell them, at this point, I use social media as a portfolio,
Yeah, definitely.
a place to just really share my work and to connect with people who are like me. And so it's definitely photo album for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think we've hinted at this, but I'm a pretty nostalgic person, so it's always nice to have that archive.
Right, exactly, exactly. I'm
But
loving how the gray looks
thanks. Yeah,
against the red.
yeah, I was hesitant at first, but I feel like it's a nice little pairing. And every even when I go beyond the eye, I see the ice cream sandwich and the C and the E.
Right. I do too. It almost gives me like that snow effect, I think,
Oh,
because it's a light enough gray where it can lean toward a white-ish
Yeah.
look. And then I think with the texture, that gives me like a snow texture. So that's perfect, I think, for ice cream.
I love that. That's such a good point.
Hmm. And again, if you are joining us on Adobe Live, we're here with Melissa Gutierrez, and she is working on a landmark that is based in Miami, Florida.
Justine, do you have a designated spot where you do your illustrations, or do you kind of go about?
Move around.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, I can do it anywhere. I'm on the couch. I'm on a, kitchen table. I'm on my desk. Oh, my husband, he works from home too. And when he comes out of his office, he is like, she is all over the place.
You've left like evidence of yourself everywhere you go.
Right. I'm like over here, over there, charges over here, just all types of everywhere. Do you have a specific place where you just really zone in and like to create?
Yes. So usually it's this couch over here. I'm a pillow
Hmm.
person, so I usually like to grab a pillow and draw from there when I'm like, decompressing. My dog is usually on the couch with me.
I
Uh,
love that. Oh my gosh. What kind of dog do you have?
so he is a schnauzer. He's a curly schnauzer though, so he doesn't really look like
Oh,
one.
oh, that's so sweet.
Do you have
Oh
any
my
pets?
goodness. I do not. My husband and I want to get one, but we are actually
Yes.
planning to move to the Georgia area.
Oh,
And so
cool.
yeah, so we're kind of like, should we get one now or just wait until we move? So I think we're gonna wait until we move so that the dog will not be within the chaos of moving.
Yeah. I hear you there. Yeah. I think moving with the dog is a little bit more chaotic than you anticipate.
Right, exactly. And so we're like, let's not do that to us or the dog. But we love dogs and pets and animals. And so we cannot wait for the day when we do have our own dog.
That's so exciting. Where in Georgia are you moving
So
to?
we're looking to move outside of Atlanta, so like the Cobb
Nice.
County area. And so we're really excited. He has family down there. I have family down there. So it'll be a nice transition for us.
That's awesome. And if
Yeah.
you do get a dog, right, there's area to like run around, enjoy some
Right,
nature. That's so cool.
exactly. Alexandria up here, they do love dogs, which is or animals, which is really cool. But we would like to have, give our dog the ability to run out in a little bit of a backyard.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Oh, Gabriella said, come to Atlanta. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Yes. I was just in Atlanta, I think in November, seeing
Oh,
also a coworker, Gabby, who lives in Atlanta, and it was great. I really like it.
nice. Oh, perfect. Gabriella said, also, yes, I love looking back at the art I had created 2 to 3 years ago and reminding myself of the progress and the memories it brings.
I love
True.
that.
Same. It really does bring memories, I think. And you do get to see the progress of, how as we were saying, how your style has evolved.
Yeah, that's so true.
Hmm.
I remember before I started drawing landmarks, I was focusing more on just like objects
Mm. Okay.
growing up. So, in Miami, we have a very big Cuban culture. So I would draw like Cuban sodas,
Oh, nice.
Colombian sodas, little like things that were just like products. But now it's interesting, right? Because that was maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. And now I'm like, I can't see myself drawing a soda again. Like I feel like I'm in my building era.
Wow, I love that. Come on, building era. But I love that even within your building era, you still have some objects, I guess, based on the building that you create. So in this case, you have what looks like strawberries.
Yeah, you're so right.
Hmm.
There it is. The objects are always just lingering about.
Right. They cannot leave you. They are still there.
I love that. I'm gonna add a little bit more dimension here, but it's coming together. I feel like,
It really is.
uh,
Now, the brush that you use to actually sketch um the lines or the outline, is that the same brush you're using to fill?
it is, yeah. And I
Okay.
like to use the both because, because my art isn't super precise and there are some like, ridges there. I find that using the same brush, both here, I'll do this and then I'll show you the outline with a darker color that I use when I sketch. I just find that using the same brush, even if I
Mm-hmm.
use like a bigger brush tip, it adds that kind of layer consistency, which is really
Right.
nice.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Very nice.
But
Now, I know, you love creating. Is there anything that you love doing outside of creating, or when you are not drawing and creating? Do you like to do other things?
that is such a good question. I have a few things that come to mind. So I love to read. I feel like I want to do that more often. But now that I'm in Miami, I feel like I want to get into gardening more. I really like being
Mm.
outside.
Mm-hmm.
We have a hammock, which reading on a hammock, I didn't know that I was missing out on how lovely it was.
Oh my gosh. I immediately, when you said a hammock, I just felt my body just relax.
Yeah,
I'm
it's so
like, oh,
soothing.
that is so soothing.
You
Oh
should
my
get a hammock
gosh.
when you move to Atlanta.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I don't think I can get it here, but
In your
in my
living room.
apartment, right? I have to get it like out on our little balcony. Those people would be like, "What the heck?" Oh my gosh! But yeah, so when we move to Atlanta, I definitely want to get a hammock in the
Yes.
backyard. Oh my gosh! So, what kind of books do you enjoy reading, or you know?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I feel like I really like biographies. Uh,
Mm,
I
mm-hmm,
really like nonfiction. But yeah, I find that too. I've been reading a lot of like biographies or like loosely based on biographies. It's nice because oftentimes it's from people that I really like.
true.
There's this book that I've read like maybe 6 months ago or so, but it still like leaves an imprint. It's called Crying in H Mart. But
Mm,
it's by the
okay.
musician Japanese Breakfast. Do you know her?
Oh no, I do not. I will look her up.
Yeah, it's so good. And it's really nice reading something from an artist that you admire. It feels like a good way to like understand their work more. So I love when that's
True.
able to happen.
I love that. If you could pick like your top, I'll say three, because I know you're still working. I don't want to distract you all the way. But what are your top three go-to books? Like they're your favorite, you could read it over and over.
Okay, yes. Okay, so I actually have my books next to me, which is
Oh,
really
great.
helpful. Oh, there's okay. So The Gospel According to Andre is like my all-time favorite. It's
Hmm.
about Andre Leon Talley, written by him. Amazing.
Love.
So
Love.
good.
Hmm.
He was just like such a wonderful figure, like just in every way, like a total tastemaker, such a creative. I feel
Yes.
inspired. And they actually made a documentary
I know
to
I
accompany
saw
the Did you
it.
see it?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, good.
it is so good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then I would say Crying in H Mart. I can't like reread it because I will be crying.
Right. You're like, hold on.
Oh, hold on. But if I ever need to, for some reason, a tear test,
Right. That's the book.
that's the book. I feel like those are the two that are sticking to me right now. And I think Joan
Perfect.
Didion too. Like I love her
Hmm.
as a writer. I feel like I
Hmm.
can't. She actually had a book on Miami, which is a really great read.
Really
Yeah.
nice.
What about you? Do you have any favorites that stick out?
Yeah. So for me, I would say, I um, I love Amy Tan. I love her book, The Joy Luck Club.
Oh, I've been
I
meaning to
feel,
read.
yes, that is such a great read. I feel like um all women, men, everyone should read that book. It's so powerful. That is like an annual read for me in a
I
way.
love that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I love Toni Morrison.
Yes, she's
Um,
incredible.
Yes, such an incredible, incredible, incredible author. And then I do like those what am I trying to say? Those like Jane Austen books.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
big fan, those classic books. So I'm a big fan of Jane Austen. So I feel like mine kind of range. I do like biography books or autobiographies. For some reason, I can only really listen to them. I don't
I
know
was just gonna
why.
say, I kind of love listening to it, especially when the writer is the narrator.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So like Cicely Tyson,
Oh,
Viola
amazing.
Davis, and
Yeah.
like those old Black Hollywood stars. I really like hearing them read their life story. So
I
that's really
love that.
cool. Hmm.
I feel like I love listening to, I don't know if you're the same way, listening to audiobooks on long car rides. Like it just feels like
Yes.
you're with the person there and you're just like, I don't know, car rides feel like the right way or the right place to just listen to someone's story.
Yes, they really do. They really do. Oh my gosh. Hello, hello, hello. Gabriella said, I'm a big fan of Jane Austen too. Yes, we love Jane
I love
Austen.
that.
Hello from Toronto, Canada.
Oh, okay, Canada.
Okay, so now you're filling in the strawberries.
Yeah, now I'm in my
Mhm.
strawberry moment, adding a few little seeds here, adding a little bit of red right here.
Nice.
And then I'll add a little bit of green here. That feels a little bit foresty, so maybe I'll go and use my color wheel to get
Right.
a more accurate. I think there's about right. But yeah,
That looks really good.
thank you so much. It also reminds me, I don't know if you had it as a kid, that strawberry candy. I wonder if folks have tried
Yes.
that.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. That candy, oh, so good. And then it has like that gooey
The
middle.
gooey center,
Yes,
yeah.
the goodie. Yes, it's so good.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry just thinking about that
I
candy.
this whole live, we've been talking food. We've been talking ice cream,
This
we've been
is
talking
amazing.
candy, coffee,
Coffee, ice, all of it. It's like a
all
buffet
of
that we
it.
have.
Right, exactly. After this, people are gonna be like, I'm gonna go eat.
Go here. Cool. So I'm just gonna add, oh no, the gray wanted to come out again, but we're gonna switch over to
Right.
black. Add
So
a little
since
bit.
you covered the little black dots of the strawberry, when you put the red over it, you're just going back and adding in the black.
Yeah, yeah. I find that to me it helps me as just like a reminder of what the dots patterns look like. So I get
Mhm.
like a loose idea, but I find that once I paint over it, it's probably going to be a little bit sharper to add the black afterwards.
Right. I agree. Wade says, LOL, it always goes back to food. It does.
It really does.
It really does.
Cool. I'm gonna add a few more seeds here.
Mm. Now, Melissa, have you always been creative? Did you just come out the womb? Just
I love this question. Yeah, I find that I think so. I loved photography since I was like 14. I like
Mm.
was really into cameras, tried my hand at film camera, and then ultimately went to art school for photography.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
yeah, yeah, I felt drawn to it. But after a few years of like working in the photo industry, I thought to myself, I really want to like make something and I want to learn how to make something. And then I learned about graphic design, and then through graphic design, illustration kind of happened,
That
which
is
was
awesome.
yeah, it's been great. I feel like every creative has this kind of path, always sometimes not linear, which is kind of like it factors into your work, right? The kind of
Right.
interest you have.
It does. It does. Like for me, my background, I was into art, and then as I entered into college, the art fashion illustration for me turned into just loving fashion as well. And so
Yeah.
I went that route working in fashion magazines and
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah, and ended up back into like that fashion illustration world. And so it's funny how full circle it is, but it's
Yeah.
definitely not linear.
No, I know. And
Not at all.
do you feel like your background in fashion kind of you see it in your work?
Oh, absolutely. I always tell people when people ask me to describe my work, I always start with like, definitely the colors, the bold colors, but the fashion to me
Yeah.
and the beauty is very I think noticeable in my work. And so it definitely helped me um in this moment in my life.
I love that.
Yes.
See.
Oh wow, you were pushing through. Look at those strawberries.
Yeah, just trying to make a little progress here. Let me go back to my
Yes.
fresco colors. I found sometimes this happens to me. I find my way in like a weird little color wheel zone that I hadn't been there, but we found our way back, which is a little bit better.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think that's what I do love about Adobe Fresco, the color wheel and just the
Yes,
ability to, for them to keep what you've used recently and then also for you to have your favorites is so easy to maneuver while you create.
absolutely. I love the color wheel too. And I feel like I spend so much time just like, which blue do I want to use? What type of blue do I want to
Right.
use? I love it. I think it's great.
Same. That's how I am when like I compare it to picking a movie like on Netflix. I'm like, what do I want? What color
Yes,
do I
that's.
want?
Do you have any of your favorite brushes on Fresco that you kind of just gravitate towards?
Oh my gosh, some of the ones that you mentioned. And then I'm so bad with names. I have to see it in front of me where I'm like, oh yeah, that
No, same, because there's so
I'm so
many.
bad at names. There are so many, and just so many different ones that offer different textures. And so
Yes.
I always have to like get my iPad and be like, oh yeah, 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 this name. I'm so bad with names.
I love that.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh. And while you work, I'll just remind people if you would like to nominate yourself or someone you know to be a guest on Adobe Live, definitely submit your recommendations to creatives in the tab on Behance.
that's awesome. I'm, gonna try to go a little faster here with milkshakes because I really want to cover the sky. I feel like that's the my favorite
Yes.
part, and I'm excited to share with you all how I do
Yes,
that.
please do. You have 30 more minutes.
Awesome.
Yes. So in the 30, if you are in the chat and you have a question for Melissa, please definitely do not hesitate to write it in chat and I'll ask her.
Yes. You're just going a little bit, and I'm gonna go from fives to. You'll see me often go back to the size, but I feel like eight is a good neutral brown. You can kind of
Mhm.
cover a bit more. So I'm just
Right.
gonna make the red a little bit thicker here. Still maintain a little bit of that black in the background. It's so fun chatting too and drawing.
I know. I agree. It's so fun to learn, I think, different creative processes and that people have. And so I really love just the chat and the art.
Yeah, definitely. Add a little bit of here, and then we'll go.
Oh yeah, that thicker is definitely making you go real fast.
Yeah, covering a little bit more ground.
Hmm.
There. And we'll get
So
to the.
Brandon in the chat said, "Who are your favorite illustrators?"
Oh, I love that question. I feel like off the top of my head, and there's so many.
Yeah.
I really like Julia Rothman. I love her illustrations of New York. I feel like that's been a major inspiration. And I remember seeing her illustrations and thinking like, I want to do that for Miami. So
Hmm.
she's a major influence. What about you?
Oh man, I really love I love Christina Martinez. I think her you might know her Instagram better than maybe her actual name, but her Instagram I think is so trill.
Oh,
Um
that sounds so familiar.
yes, and I think her company is actually named Juno and Mars, I do believe. I think they're named after her children.
Oh, cool.
And I love like just how she creates. I love her illustrations and she has this throughout her collections, her theme really is bloom, like bloom again and
Oh, I
bloom
love
where you're
that.
planted. And so she uses a lot of flowers incorporated with her illustrations, with the characters as well. And so I love her art.
I love that. I definitely want to go check it out because the name sounds so familiar.
Yes. No, not SEO, SEW, and then Trill, regular Trill. But
Yeah.
she is she's phenomenal. I really love her art. And I honestly just love her story, just with her being an artist. And, she's another one who just pretty much didn't have a linear path getting into art. And so she's a very inspirational for me.
I love that.
Yes. Any other questions for Melissa while we watch her just continue um, creating her landmark? Definitely do not be afraid to ask in the chat.
Yeah, ask some questions.
Oh,
Cool.
wow, that looks great.
Thanks. Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to switch it up a bit. I'm going to do some sky so we have something to look at. Maybe I can use my palettes brush at this moment.
Right.
So if I go back to my layer, I was thinking about the bright blues to use, right? And I usually gravitate towards these three, but I think today maybe the middle one is speaking to me the most.
Hmm.
So I'll turn that off and I'll do another layer and it'll be right here at the bottom. So it's behind the building. And this is where I can go really big with the brush. So here you'll sort of see that blue kind of go in. And
I
then
love that blue.
it's a good blue, huh?
Yeah.
So then on the sides, I'll make this a little thinner. I don't want it to bleed so much on the side, but I'll just have it extend just a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Again, just clear it up here. A quick little eraser here where we see that kind of blue bleed over.
Mm-hmm. A little cleanup.
A little cleanup, not perfection, but
Right, exactly.
a little bit of something there. And then there's some here. So we'll clean that up just a bit.
Wade said, YouTube is loving your work, Melissa.
Oh, wow. That's so great to hear.
I know, it's phenomenal.
Thank you so much. Cool. So I think that feels about right. If I want to get a little bit more precise, maybe I'll go to a 40 here, color that in a wee bit. Then cool. So now I can actually show you one of my favorite brushes, the pellets brush.
Yay!
So once I have that sort of sky here that you see, and before I go, I just see a little area here where I can fill it in a bit more. That feels about right. So I actually have it starred because I use it so often.
I love that.
So I'll do pellets. And for the sky, I'll tend to do just the whitest white on
Mm-hmm.
a very high size. So I think the brush size here is 3,500,
Ooh.
but the flow is very small. So I'll show you. I just go over here, and you might not see it at first, but the point is that it kind of, just
Oh,
gradually builds that.
that is
Yeah,
awesome.
it's so much fun. I feel like I like more and more clouds, so I kind of go a little bit over. But you can
Yeah.
just stop wherever you feel most comfortable.
I love that. That was like a magic trick.
That's awesome. I love that. And then, since we're doing big patches of color, then I think if I go back to my reference color, there's kind of like that ground that has a kind of like burnt terracotta color.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go ahead and sample that. And then I won't use the palettes brush, but I think for this, there's an opportunity to use maybe like a crosshatch.
Oh, I love that brush.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yes, I love the texture on that brush.
Maybe I'll use, so I'm going between crosshatch or this one. I'll start with this one. And it's very, so I'll turn this off so you can see. Add another layer, perfect. Add this layer below. So I need to desaturate it, but you can see it's very big.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna bring that opacity down just a bit, maybe the flow. Do like a 36 and see how it goes. It's a little big.
Alex in the chat just joined. Thank you for joining, Alex. Said, wondering if Melissa has recommendations on best practices for building a presence on social media to get your work out there.
Oh, I love that. I find with like when I feel like that my work, the biggest payoff is trying to build community. So I
Mhm.
feel like if you're able to find yourself amongst things that like feel important to you, wherever that may be. For me, it's like illustrations and Miami culture. If you're able to find like your niche and what really makes you happy, and then try to, grow and build from that. I find that community, finding where I want to anchor myself to, has been like the most fulfilling part.
That's a great question and a great answer. I think that's very, very true.
Yeah,
That's
and
a good way to anchor.
yeah, what feels authentic to you, and that can always change too, because we're always evolving, we're always growing.
That is a good point. I feel like sometimes on social media, sometimes people always tell us to like niche down.
Yeah,
And so, but you do evolve. And so, I think authenticity, like you said, is the most important thing in
definitely.
whatever niche you decide to flow to.
Yeah, do what brings you joy, right? Like life's so short.
Oh my gosh, that right there. It really is.
Yeah.
Do what brings you joy and be authentic. Yes.
So, I'm adding a little bit of texture here. It's kind of nice because the building itself, if you look at the reference photo, of course you can't see it, it's hiding behind the sky. But if I pull it back in here, you can see that the building's kind of off-white. There's
Mm-hmm.
that terracotta floor. So it's nice when you're able to just include some like pops of color. And that's what I'm trying to
Yes.
do with the sky and the ground.
I love that.
I'm gonna fill it in just a bit more here. Bring down the brush size.
That brush is perfect for that type of it's like a brick almost in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so helpful. It saves you so much time because trying to create that texture on your own, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you to Adobe Fresco brushes.
Yeah. Thank you to Kyle Webster and his crosshatch brush. This has saved
Yes.
me many times. So go ahead here. Cool. Looks about right. We add a texture. And now if I look back at my reference here, I can see that I have some stripes here. So I feel like adding some stripes around this area will kind of have the build make the building pop a bit more. So I'll start there.
Mhm. Oh,
I
thank
always
you,
forget.
Wade, for linking Kyle T. Webster brushes. Thank you.
So now I'm going to switch. Now that I'm going to, color in mode, I'm going to go from crosshatch to my trusty pencil brush. And I'll make it a bit smaller. I think maybe 14 is the right size. So yeah. Actually, I think we can even go a little bit bigger here, just to cover some more ground. Call it
Mm-hmm.
18. Ooh, and then I'll clean this up just a bit here. Now, because I always think it's fun to like mimic light a bit, I'm gonna make this corner area here just a little bit lighter,
Mm.
slightly, because it's peeking over. It's very subtle, but
Yeah, but it's nice though. And then the black that you keep, it's nice. It creates a nice, dimension along with it.
Thanks so much. So I'll go ahead and I believe there's red at the top. This is why it's so helpful to have that kind of that color guide because I get so zoomed in and I forget where the colors are.
That is so true. I feel like every time I host an Adobe Live, I learn every single time a trick to use. The last Adobe Live that I hosted, I had the pleasure of hosting Wade, and he gave such great tips. And so I'm always like, oh, I gotta write that down. I gotta write that down.
Yeah. I love that.
Hmm.
Cool. So I'm just getting the area here, coloring this in just a bit. What's nice about these stripes is that you don't have to get all of them, right? So just get every other.
Right.
I'm able to go here. And again, just color it in. So I have a little bit of that detailing. Oop. And
Wow.
if you're ever in a
Hmm.
time crunch, just, make these little shapes, make them a little bigger, and then just color them in.
Just fill it in. Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny sometimes when you think back to when you were younger and how um you kind of are now doing the same thing that you did when you were younger. It's such a
Oh my gosh, yes.
weird.
I know. And at the time, I was like, I feel like as a kid, you don't want to sit still for so long. You just want to like go out and play. And now I'm like, I can just draw for hours. It is so like calming for me.
Yes. Oh my gosh, hours and hours and yeah, I agree with you. Oh my gosh. Hello to everyone coming in the chat. We're here with Melissa Gutierrez. She is working on a landmark that is based in Miami, Florida. She is working within Adobe Fresco. Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I'm just going a little faster here. I'll fill in this spot. Not to bring it back to food, but did you have any, since we're talking about childhood, do you have any like childhood snacks that you miss?
Oh man, that I miss? Oh, man. I would say I don't know if I have any that are gone per
Mm,
se. But I love a good fruit snack. Uh,
yes. The Welsh's one?
that one, and there was like a Scooby-Doo one at a certain
Yeah.
point that was really good. The Gushers ones. I miss like eating them and not really feeling the consequence of eating.
I know. Why is it now that we have just like a little bit of sugar and then like 2 seconds later it's an immediate crash?
Right. I'm like, I can't do it anymore. Oh my gosh. Um, but between that, ice cream, I definitely have a lot of memories going with my family to go get ice cream. So I feel like those are like the foods that are very nostalgic. Even pizza
Yeah.
for me is very nostalgic. I still eat it every now and again, you know, at as the age I am now, but there
Hmm.
was something about going to a mall
Totally.
and getting pizza.
No, absolutely. I hear you. And just having some soda with it too, right? It just feels like
Right.
good.
It just feels like, childhood. Do
I
you
love
have
it.
any foods that you liked back then or that
Yeah.
maybe are you ate back then, but maybe they're not around now?
Yeah, I feel like most of them are still around, but I feel like as a kid I ate so much cereal and I have not had cereal in so long.
Yes. No, that is so true.
And there were a lot of sugary cereals too, so it's probably good
Yes.
that I don't have them. But that was always fun, right? Like having cereal as a kid.
Yes, no, I agree with you. I remember like my mom, she sometimes likes to eat honey bunches of oats. And I used to be like, I want, insert really sugary
Yes.
cereal. And now as an adult, I'm like, oh yeah, honey bunches of oats.
You're like, huh.
It comes full circle.
Those were good.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's wrapping up so nicely.
Thanks so much. Yeah, it takes me a little bit just because my process is a little bit longer, but I feel like the payoff is really nice. Kind of get the
Hmm.
textures and dimensions. So I really
No, I agree with that, especially the texture. Beautiful.
thank you.
And I think you have around maybe 12 more minutes,
Oh, okay, cool,
just
cool.
so you know.
Yeah, so I'll wrap this up and then maybe add a few more. We might not finish all of the colors, but you'll get a good, look at to what the process looks like.
Right. No, you have definitely completed a lot. I feel like sometimes when doing landmarks, it definitely takes a bit longer just getting
Yeah.
the details and making sure to create those dimensions. Do you find that?
For sure. And I
Mhm.
find that it's like the little things too really add up. Like what kind of brush size do you want to use? What tone of color do you want to use? So I feel like that really factors itself in. And then how do you want to mimic textures? So like spending a good time finding the crosshatch brush. Is that the one I want to use?
Mm-hmm. That is so true. Wow. Well, while you continue to work, I just wanted to remind everybody to don't forget to join Voodoo Val on her new show, Create Tips, a creative design process show that highlights the philosophy and everyday lifestyle of being a creative and answering the most common questions creatives have when they are getting started. So do not forget to join Voodoo Val, which we love Voodoo Val. So that's going to be a good time.
Yeah, that sounds so much fun.
That looks so good.
Thank you so much. Might be the last little stripe that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Oop, cool.
That looks so good. The dimension is great.
Yeah, so I just realized I tilted it. There we are. But yeah, it's fun, right? Like I think that there's just so many colors. It takes a little bit, but I feel like it really is. I think the more you spend on the process and fixate on the colors, you kind of become happier with the result.
I agree with that for sure. And it truly does give the essence of um the the actual not coffee. I'm thinking of coffee. The actual essence of the ice cream shop that you are going off of.
I love that. Yeah,
Yes.
I might not finish it completely, but I definitely will post a finished product so we can see.
Please do. We would love to see the finished product. It's looking great so far.
So much. Now I'm just gonna go in, add a little bit of greenery there. And then I'll go, I think, a little bit higher. Perfect. Maybe just go beyond this layer so we see
Mm-hmm.
it. And I think with greenery here, you have an opportunity just to, be a little bit more messy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just use a bunch of colors. I'll extend my green over here.
Mm-hmm. That looks so great with the contrast of the green against the sky with that blue. It just really pops.
I love blue and green. I feel like those are my one of my two favorite pairings. Do you have a favorite color, Justine?
My favorite color is pink. Um,
Nice. We're
yeah,
presenting
so
your favorite color today.
I know how perfect. I love pink. Oh my gosh. And so I feel like a lot of my art definitely incorporates pink or any other bold color. So I do like green. I do like a nice blue. So the colors you picked are like my eyes are loving them.
Oh, I love that. And then I don't know if you remember, I brought up this palm tree here, but
Hmm.
something that I can do here is use the paint bucket tool. And then I want to use a little bit of a darker green. And then I can actually just paint bucket that
Ooh,
green.
that looks great.
So maybe I want to make it just a tad bit darker here. And yeah,
Hmm.
you zoom out, it adds a little bit more of dimension.
It does. It does.
So I'll continue over my green here, my foliage.
I love the foliage.
And it's nice, you see this kind of like green just to add a little bit of
Mm,
texture in there.
I
Mix the
love
lighters.
that. Adds just a little bit more dimension
Yeah, exactly.
on the shrubs.
Yeah, do that.
I can't wait to see you post like the finished photo because it's looking great.
I'll make sure to tag Adobelive so you all can see.
Yes, please do, please do. Oh, that's looking so great.
Yeah. And I think before we'll go, I'll add a little bit of a sidewalk color here so we can see. I think if maybe I marked it, maybe I didn't. But I feel like intuitively, maybe a gray, like a darker gray will make sense here.
Yes.
So I'll go ahead and add that right above here.
Oh yeah, the gray for sure.
Yeah, just to add a little bit of,
A little bit of sidewalk.
yeah, exactly. The plan was for these little railings to also have that kind of
Like that
burgundy color.
gray. Oh, that
Yeah,
burgundy color. Oh, nice.
add a nice little pop too. Make sure to show you
Mhm.
once that's done. Go over here.
Oh man. The next time in Miami, this will be my first stop.
Yes, I love
Yes.
that.
This will be my first stop. Oh, this is great. And a great way to just wrap up
Yeah.
just your work, Melissa.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks so much for chatting with me today. This has been so much fun.
You're so welcome. No, thank you so much for joining us and for creating just what a such a wonderful landmark in Miami. So great. Thank you guys so much also for joining us in the chat. I mean, you can continue finishing up, Melissa, but thank you guys so much for joining us. Let us know what you're loving about Melissa's artwork. It's just so nice. So yeah, let us know while we have a couple of minutes left.
Yeah, I'm just gonna,
Uh,
cool. Yeah, I'll just, for the purpose of that. So yeah,
yes, no, that looks great.
so much.
Perfect. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Melissa, for joining
Thank you
and
so
for
much.
creating this masterpiece, which is located actually in Miami, Florida. So if you are in Miami, definitely go visit Walls Ice Cream.
Yes, thank you so much, Justine, and everyone today.
Thank you. Bye.